Where did you come from? I really wrote that down. No, here's a better version of it. Tell me about your artistic evolution, stopping at all the key points to take a picture and then posting it on Facebook with a funny caption.
Damn. I'm going to need a little bit of prep time to think about such an expensive...
Just start at the beginning.
The beginning. I was born in Dubuque, Iowa, which is a smallish city on the eastern border of Iowa, and it's actually right next to Illinois, which is where I then grew up.
Wait, is that a quad city?
No, north of the quad city. I grew up in the very northwesternmost tip of Illinois, right by Iowa and Wisconsin. Went to school there. Went to a super tiny school. I sang in the choir and I played drums in the band and pep band.
Really?
Yeah.
Snare, quads.
Wipeout.
Were you, or was it like a drum kit, or are you on the bass?
Joey, that's impressive, right?
He's a drumline guy.
I know.
We established this.
That's
we had a
right.
whole section in an interview that was about drum corps, which was maybe either the best or the worst piece of interview that I've ever been a part of. For us, it was really great. For everyone else, they were just like, "Who are these nerds? What are they talking about?" So you were in the pep band, right?
Yeah. So I played in pep band and I sang in the choir, and I one of the first most amazing moments musically that I ever had was the privilege of getting to go to the Illinois All-State choir and band performance. I would think from my junior and senior year. So coming from a super small town with like literally 13 kids in the chorus department, and I had the same music teacher at my tiny school from when I was a 5-year-old in kindergarten to graduating high school, and she was still there a couple years after I graduated. Sharon Phillips, she was my music teacher. Got to go to All-State and sing with 250 other choir students, which just blew my mind. It was amazing. And then it was like that was one of the first moments when I was like, whoa.
Was that the end of the
Singing's
drums?
Cool.
That was the end of the drums? That was the end of pep band?
No, I don't know, soon after that. I played a little bit of a kit here and there. Yeah. I still kind of do, but I don't practice or anything.
Yeah.
Drums.
You and Joey never set up a double kit?
You want to do it? We should.
It
would be more like, why don't you take lessons from Joey? Like, Abby, why don't you take lessons from Joey? Which would be cool.
An exploration
talk about that later.
In percussion. I'd pay to see that one. All 4 of you actually on the drum kit. What so you've been a singer since doing this. Like mechanical little elephant drummers. So you started singing at a really young age, always, in choir, and from sort of came from a place where you were receiving instruction, or was it something that you explored a lot on your own too, outside of sort of the realm of proper singing? My mom, for as long as I can remember, always had a nice real piano in the house that she would play. She's played piano for most of her life, so I would sing along with her, running through like Memory isn't that from the Cats soundtrack? She would play Memory and some Eric Satie and some other gems on the piano, and I would sort of sing along with them, and maybe eventually to the point where I sort of decided on a harmony part that I wanted to sing with that. So that's where I've always been singing mostly to myself though. So performing and writing songs is relatively new for me. I didn't really start that at a super young age. I remember I sang, it wasn't My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion, but something close to that at my high school graduation. And like, I was so nervous that in this huge brand new gymnasium that my tiny school that had expanded to could seat like 800 people. And I know this is like, it was huge for us. There were 365 people in the village that I grew up in. So we had this big new gym, and we were the first class to graduate in it. And I pretty much, like, the piano was set up. This is like, if this rectangle is the shape of the gymnasium, everybody's sitting everywhere. The piano's up here, and I literally stood and faced the piano and like turned my back to everybody because I was so nervous about forgetting the words that I had to read the paper that was on the piano. So I pretty much just looked at the words and my teacher. It was kind of funny. So you have some... You and Jim Morrison.
But I think people get interested in that, because they're like, here's this person who's on stage, clearly they want to be there, but they really don't want to be there
It's
at
sort
the
of
same
like
time.
a moth being drawn to a bright, burning fire.
Which eventually extinguishes
until
that.
until you either build up a callus or you get burned so many times that you're just resistant or you don't care anymore about. I mean, if we're talking about like stage fright and anxiety, that's, I don't know. You just got to keep doing it, and it gets easier.
What would you say your sort of key breakthrough? I mean, you have a really, I think we can all agree about this, that Aby has a very special instrument, a very dynamic, I don't even know how to say it. You sing like nobody I've ever heard sing.
Oh.
So what point did you realize that was something that you could do differently or more dynamically, or that you had superpowers is what I'm trying to ask. When did you find out about your superpowers and start fashioning a super awesome superhero costume for yourself?
I think I'm not really gonna get to that point until I'm like 50. That's the way I kind of feel. If I'm like my giving energy to singing and performing and making music and getting involved has sort of been this trajectory that's gone like from very small baby, like singing songs on the farmland to the trees and the woods on my dog and in my room, and then like writing songs on a guitar, and then sort of playing out. Like my first gig that I played out was in Farmington,
great town,
Minnesota, a little bit south of here.
You got a heart.
In a coffee shop. It was called The Ugly Mug, and I think like 25 people were there, and four of my friends came down with me.
How did you How did you get booked in Farmington at a coffee shop for your first gig?
I didn't book it. I was probably way too shy or didn't think that I was ready. It's when like my friend had a friend who they were like, you need to get in front of people.
I know of a great coffee shop in Farmington.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Are there any singers out there? Any of you guys in school here for sing? Okay, This is one for you guys. What lifestyle choices have you made to help maintain your instrument?
Oh, well.
What do you think is most helpful?
One of the most obvious things that I can think of was being a maybe 15 or 16-year-old and really wanting to impress this boy who smoked cigarettes and drank beer. And I just mentioned the beer part because I think my first beer was maybe when I was like 17 or something. I wasn't interested in it until until I was like 28. Anyway, I wanted to impress a boy and I wanted to look cool, so I smoked cigarettes for a while until I don't actually remember consciously making the decision to stop, but my body kind of did, because every morning after I would smoke, I would just wake up with like swollen glands and I would feel disgusting, and I was like, oh, sore throats. Okay, don't do that. Don't smoke cigarettes. I think that's sort of one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
For me,
Any other
smoking,
secret?
vocalists. Every time I see somebody who's a singer, who's got a gift, smoking, I try not to be like, oh,
little tear runs down your cheek.
Yeah. A little tear.
When did you make the transition from performing by yourself or like girl on a guitar to playing with this band or other bands? And what was that like for you?
And my own material or just stuff?
Both.
Both.
Because I imagine you were, coffee shopping by yourself at first.
Yeah.
And then at some point you...
But not even that much. I played a couple... There used to be I played at a Dunn Brothers downtown on Nicollet once by myself. A couple of other really just small coffee shops. But I was so shy, I was like, I wouldn't go out of my way to try to book something like that. The first band that I was a part of was I was singing backup for Omar Bliss. He's a local guy. He's moved around a bunch, but he's based out of Minneapolis, and he's a rapper and a writer and a beat maker, and that was also where I met Joey. We were in that band together. Joey played drums, of course. So that was my first band experience, and there were 6 of us, and there was Jeff on guitar and Tom on bass and Scotty on keys and stuff, and this other guy Shawan on backups. So it was a big ensemble, and I felt a little bit like I was trying to tread water. Also at the same time, not only learning how to be in a band and sing like it was such a scary thing to sing in front of people and work with people, but also to handle the logistics of being on stage in front of lights and in front of lots of people. I remember being so nervous that I would just sort of flail my arms around on stage, like completely out of control. And it was actually Sean McPherson who was at one of the shows when I would just get so nervous and have no idea how to calm and be stay with it. Just like somebody should have slapped me across the face. But Sean McPherson had he was just like, he's like, I have 2 things to tell you. And it was like one of the first times that I ever really talked to him after the show down in the green room. He's like, 2 things. Man, if we could nail your feet to the floor, but you got a great voice, and wow, that was great. Like, stop moving so much.
Sit still and sing.
And sing, yeah. Yeah, so I wonder if he knows how helpful that comment was, but
you should send him a Christmas card this year. You've chosen really great collaborators in this band.
I think so.
I was curious how you assembled this group of people that are on the stage today, and also whether you feel, well, why don't you tell me that first?
In the Omar Bliss band days, at one point, we played a show with Dance Band, which Jesse was a part of for a couple of years. I met Jesse, and then maybe sometime after that, he when I had written a couple songs from my first album, Sweet Prudence, in 2009. I had a Jesse asked, he's like, hey, I'd like to do a remix of one of your tunes, and I was like, sure. And I just sent him it was just like, sent the whole track. There was it wasn't like a Pro Tools session with just the vocals, it was the whole track with the guitar and everything. And he did this really weird remix. And I listened back to it, and it was maybe only half of the song too, but it had all this like, these strange like springy like boingy sounds on it, and I was like, what the hell? I've never heard. That's not something that I would have chosen, but anyway, it was like, wow, that's weird. Duly noted for later. And then it was like a number of years, a couple years later. That was only a couple years ago? 3 years ago? Something like that. Yeah. And so then in thinking of people that I wanted to work with, I was like, oh, I wonder we should maybe develop that some more. So I thought of Jesse in that way. And Linnea, I don't know. I think you sent me a message on Facebook one time that was like, hey, we should sing together. Bye.
That sounds like exactly like that was actually a really great imitation of you right there.
And then
I remember seeing you and then being like, I'm gonna sing with her someday. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you were in a band called Alpha Centauri with this guy Lance Conrad, whom I was recording a song with one day, and he was like, oh yeah, Linnea. I was like, oh yeah, Linnea. Linnea should, oh yeah. So called it to her, and Joey's Joey.
Joey's a shoo-in.
Joey's hands down one of the best drummers around, I would say, and plays vibes too. Super solid dude. No, he's shaking his head. And since we had already worked together, it was I had a shoe-in. That was good.
I want to congratulate you too, Joey, on cultivating a really smooth, like young Gene Krupa kind of look that you got going today. It's good. It's working out. When you had the headphones on, I was like, wow. That's exactly what that is right there. Do you feel like you create best by yourself or in the company of your bandmates?
I get a little embarrassed when I'm playing my piano and really working out a song if my roommate's home.
So
I'd say a lot of bedroom writing is the most typical, but I think the most satisfying and nourishing creations come from bouncing ideas off of other people, because it's really scary. It's like showing up to a formal date for the first time with like your best clothes, and you have no idea if you're gonna be way too fancy or not enough, or it's like when you it's really it's really terrifying to put yourself out there and then to discover like what's the background that gives me context.
Right.
To
Chuck E.
to
Cheese,
see
or
how
are we
you,
going for
how
steak
you fit
tonight?
or don't fit with other people.
Yeah.
It's really scary, but it's the most satisfying stuff when you get through it and get going.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was a good metaphor. I understood what she was talking about.
Wait, I totally
You
missed
got the
it.
wrong-
I was so wrapped up in my own thoughts.
I liked your idea of showing up for a date and not knowing whether your clothes are appropriate at all for the activity. So I said, are you going to Chuck E. Cheese or are you going for steak?
Exactly.
Or is it a steakhouse that I can wear my Chuck E. Cheese clothes to? Because those are the places that I like to go in Farmington. What, one of your, I think also, aside from being, extraordinary on your own, one of your greatest assets is as a collaborator and an accompanist yourself. When did you realize that you could back up as well as you lead, or was it the other way around?
Oh, backup singing?
Yeah. And which do you prefer?
Ooh. That's tough, too. I think it's also, for me, it's more challenging to work on to put my own ideas out there creatively. Challenging and more satisfying, I would say. But also, really, really amazing and helpful lessons. I remember the first time that I sang a song with Dessa. It was at a Tuesday night poetry at the Blue Nile, kind of an open mic thing, and this was maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. And so anyway, there was this group, which is also where I met Omar Bliss. And at the end of their set, they would open up the microphone and just play some kind of jam, and then invite whoever wanted to come up and do some words or just sing over the top was invited to do that. So I met her there. We talked a couple times, and then she invited me to do this song with her and Yoni. And she was like, she outlined the harmony that she wanted me to sing. And when the time came, like I think we ran through it once, and when the time came to get up on stage and do it, I was just like, I've got a way better idea. I'm gonna do this. And I totally switched it up, and I remember like we started the hook, and I was like, came in with my better idea, and it totally was not what she was expecting, and it really threw her, I think, for a loop. And she looked at me, and she was just like wide eyes, like looked at me.
You got the lasers.
It was like I got super major Dessa lasers, which is the first time that I remember singing with her. And so it took a little while after that for me to realize, like, oh, okay. It's not cool to overstep those boundaries, and especially if you're collaborating, it's a good thing to come to know if you're being invited to collaborate and create something together where your ideas are, where there's space for it, or if you're getting like employed to do a role, like to sing a part. So that's working with her has been a really awesome lesson in that, to learn how to support somebody without feeling like I need to, like. It's not always. It's like, as a backup singer, it's not really yours. You do it in your own way, and you put your fingerprints on it, on the part, but it's not your thing. And so
you can't show up to play at somebody's house, take all the cool toys, and throw sand in everybody's hair.
You were waiting to say that. Mm-hmm. It's just like that. It's somebody else's toys and somebody else's.
You kind of laid it out for
sandbox.
me, though. You really even said it.
If you get up, if you're invited for a play date, you play in the sand, and then you eat cookies when it's time, and then you go home. That's sort of like backup singing to me.
Don't put sand in anybody's hair.
It's cool. Yeah.
I asked this question to the Motion City Soundtrack guys when they were here 2 weeks ago, last week? Gosh, was it 2 weeks ago? Okay. But I think it's a good question, so I'm going to ask it again. What is the most important piece of equipment in the Claus van? And yes, Jesse is totally an acceptable answer. By the way, is that built out of Nintendo's?
I think you just answered the question.
Did you see this thing?
I think you should talk about that a little bit.
Scoot this over.
It's that.
It's a device, pile of wires.
So it's a modular synthesizer, which is the old school way of doing synthesis before MIDI. So like Bob Moog in the '60s kind of pioneered like the big behemoth, all patch bay kind of thing. And the advantages of it is that you have total control over your signal flow. So if you get a synth now, everything's kind of pre-wired, and you can affect all of it. But with this, you can be like, well, I want this to do this instead, and kind of circumvent the process. And it just lets you get way in there. And I had started building stuff, like, a few years ago, just like little tiny kits, and then quickly realized that like having knobs to turn is really, really cool, and not like I learned on Reason 2.5 was my first like music making experience, and was always on a laptop, and was always doing software stuff. And then having the actual stuff was like, oh, this is good. like this is totally different, and like got really into it, and basically just kind of also went that route because it's cheaper. So
it's a really impressive device. And intimidating. Do either of you guys ever try to walk up to it and touch it? And just get shocked or something?
I actually have never have.
No?
I've never tried it.
Stare. Yeah. Yo, Jesse, it was looking at me again. Hello, Linnea.
Like the voice of the
Come
cow.
touch my buttons. I'm leaving. So I went on I went to MySpace, your MySpace page. This is a really cool quote about you having an American Idol-worthy voice, which is true, by the way. And I was just curious if you've ever considered showing up for a show like that and just wiping the floor with those clowns. I mean, the money's probably pretty good.
I'm sure you get paid.
Maybe.
The closest that I came to that was that one year, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I saw an ad in the city pages of the paper. It was around springtime, and they were advertising for Valley Fair singers auditions. Valley Fair, and I was like, oh, singing job, cool! Finally, I found something like musical in the classifieds. So the auditions, I was like, I'm gonna make $6,000.
Was this for the Showtime band or whatever those guys are that walk around the park?
This is for see, I don't even know. I haven't been there a lot, but it's for the Mickey Mouse show up on stage that's like at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock or something like that. Mm-hmm. Something really awesome. And I'm sure it would have been a really great summer job learning experience, and I would have learned a lot. But I went to the audition, and I had prepared 2 songs. One was I'm a man of constant sorrow from I don't know who wrote that, but I'm familiar with it from the Oh Brother Where Art Thou album, and I think Joan Baez has a pretty awesome cover of it too. So I sang that, and it was like somebody at the piano was like, "You just bring your sheet music and know your songs, and then we'll give it to the accompanist." So it was just some random piano player, and Sarah McLachlan Angel, which is sort of a mainstay that I've been singing via request from my high school friends back in the day. And I did my best. I got up there and I did my 2 songs, and I was nervous.
Were you flailing around?
No, I wasn't actually. I wasn't. This is not I don't know what to do. I'm gonna flail kind of. It wasn't in that stage. But I remember I closed my eyes almost the whole time, and I got to kind of take a sneak peek at. There were 2 judges, and I saw one of their comments. I didn't get the job, but one of their comments was like, "Sings with eyes closed, has weird stage presence." I felt bad for a little bit, and then I was like, maybe he's right. I'm not cut out for Valley Fair. I don't think I'm cut out for American Idol. I've only really seen a couple shows, but I really think those people, I think they would just be like, you've got a weird stage presence. Get out of here.
I'm sure Simon Cowell would have something awful to say to you.
I'm sure he would too.
But then again, I think that worked out best for both Valley Fair and you. On that
Maybe,
situation.
I don't know.
How did they play Man of Constant Sorrow? Was it like some? I'm picturing like an old lady from my church who played all the church.
Probably.
Dun, 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 Was it real polka-y?
I don't remember. I was so nervous. I washed all the memories away except for the comment.
What music from the avant-garde gets you excited?
Ooh, Meredith Monk.
Yeah. What about from the mainstream?
Mainstream avant-garde?
No. I just asked you about the avant-garde now. No. What from the mainstream world? What music from Valley Fair gets you excited?
Well, I think I just really kind of started getting into Beyonce this summer, kind of a late.
Yeah. You're going back in the catalog?
A late arrival to that.
She's a heck of a singer.
Yeah, I guess a lot more pop than I thought. Katy Perry. I mean, I'm not. When I say I'm getting into it, I'm not. I'm just that means I'm singing a song in my car.
You're not. You don't have the posters.
I don't
up
have
in
the
your
posters or even the discs or the MP3s or anything. But I'm I know that song and super bass. I work at a Japanese restaurant, and we love to go do karaoke a couple times a year until 5 a.m. at above a Korean restaurant. Mm-hmm. And I think that had a lot to do with my interest in pop because that's all that's available in English.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned a couple of Adele songs and Nicki Minaj.
So like Katy Perry or Joan Baez or Laurie Anderson, if you had to pick.
Oh, Laurie Anderson, totally.
I was hoping you were saying that was your Valley
Kate
Fair
Bush.
audition. was Laurie Anderson.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would have been incredible. The YouTube video, I would have watched that like 1,000 times. Here's Aby Wolf singing Laurie Anderson to audition for the Valley Fair stage band. Weird stage presence. Were you into Bond movies by any chance when you were growing up? Bond movies?
No, and coincidentally, somebody just asked me that yesterday if I've ever seen Bond movies, and I haven't really. I think I've fallen asleep through a couple. I know.
It's okay. Some of them are bad.
Maybe some of them are bad. I have totally enjoyed them, but I wouldn't be able to recap a storyline at all.
Well, the reason I was asking is because I think you should write the next Bond theme. I mean that in a really positive sense. Like aesthetically, you really lean towards the epic side of things, which I think would really lend itself to like a soundtrack song, but like a kick-ass one, like a 62 through the Nintendo here. You know what I mean? Ooh. Yeah, like a modern version of that. And I was just curious also if that sort of weight of what you do, aesthetically and probably thematically too, ever exhausts you. Have you ever gotten to the point where you're like, F it, I'm writing Man of Constant Sorrow?
Oh.
Or a country song or something?
I don't feel exhausted yet. I feel like I've barely touched the tip of the iceberg.
Of exhaustion?
Yeah. Of really opening up and challenging
depth.
myself and getting in there.
You got a lot more.
Especially with touring. I've really only hopped on a couple of tours and hit a few cities that I could count on two hands.
Have you ever
6 times, so.
Have you ever experienced musical or lyrical writer's block, and what have you done to shake yourself free?
Exercise.
That works?
Yeah. And movies. Watching movies.
Rom-coms?
I step back and I watch some Battlestar Galactica, or
Ooh.
right now I'm actually. It seems like
old or new? Old one or new one?
The new one. I haven't seen the originals.
It's pretty cheesy, but the hair is so good. Their hair is.
The hair. Really?
The hair is incredible in the original one. Great hair. I'm sorry, Battlestar Galactica. Or?
Oh yeah. I found, I think last year I had reached some new level of like, okay, I'm really getting busy. Oh, we were working on this stuff, and I was feeling more challenged than I had in a while. And I found that at the same time, if like my level of like creative project busyness goes up, I have to totally match it with watching TV. This is like
you're balancing it out with television.
On a song, like finally getting the song out, and I have to watch 3 episodes. Like, I'll talk to you later. Like, bedroom, close the door, Netflix, to balance. And then it's like, it helps to distance a little bit. And I think the distance is really helpful, distancing from what you're working on. I feel really ADD when I'm actually working on trying to get lyrics together. It's like I have 3 snacks and 2 beverages, and I'll sit down and work, and I'll think, and then I'll get up, and I'll go outside, or like then I'll come back and sit down for 10 or 15 minutes, and then get up again, or just like eat snacks and drinks, and like just it's like a constant. It's like I have 10 hands, kind of a thing.
Wow.
Or I just stop trying for a long time, but that's no good. I'm trying to learn how to set up good work ethic as far as music work ethic. I think it's it involves different parts of your brain than homework work.
Have you seen on Netflix that they're finally, after all these years, they have all the episodes of The Wonder Years up there? Oh my gosh. I maybe shouldn't have told you that. Remember that album she was talking about? It's off. Album is off for like another 6 months.
Uh-oh.
No, that show is so incredible.
I used to watch it a lot.
Oh man, I got lost in that this week.
Lost.
I did like a whole like the Winnie Cooper Kevin thing in season 3 is just like.
Is that when they finally kiss?
Yes, no, they kissed in the season 1, and then again in 2, and then in 3 they start dating, and it's just like the most beautiful thing. And there's this. I even wrote. This is how embarrassing I am. I found out. Remember Winnie's theme? Like every time you'd see her walking in the hall with her her long black hair. Yeah.
How does it go?
Like the harmony.
Really?
And yeah, I figured out who wrote it, and I wrote that guy an email this week. And I was like, listen, that shit is so tight. I want it. And what you have on the thing that I can buy from the store sucks. It's like a really weird, like keyboarded out, like bad, like it's terrible. And I got to bounce back. His name's Snuffy. Yeah, he's a real player. He was in like Foghat or something in the 70s, and then went on to make like music for everything every like television drama that you've ever seen. He did it all that acoustic guitar work. It's really beautiful.
Fan mail.
Anyway, yeah, I'm a nerd. So I have one more question for Aby here, but I wanted to see if any of you guys out there had any questions before we wrap up. Andrea.
How do you choose what songs to cover?
That's a good one.
You know,
Sade was nice.
honestly, I don't do that. I toss it up. Jesse thought the Sade song would be fun, and Linnea thought the Cocteau Twins song would be fun. So I'm waiting for Joey's suggestion next, and then maybe I'll choose one. But I guess I guess I could reference before that. I covered. I've covered previously in the last couple of years songs that I know and love really well, which means like 1 or 2 Bjork songs and 2 Erykah Badu songs and Kate Bush songs, and kind of like the mainstays, the songs that I know really well. That just probably I guess that's not super adventurous, but
if you had your
it feels so good to sing the songs that you love. It's really fun.
If you had your dream presentation, like of your most favorite song that you'd always hope to sing, but you maybe haven't been able to because the instrumentation isn't right, or like what song would it be and what would the music sound like?
Oh my God, I don't know.
L.A. Woman by the Doors.
You have to kick Linnea out of the band. There's no bass in the Doors.
Oh no.
Totally kidding.
Oh man, I don't know.
Or just one of them. It doesn't have to be your most favorite.
No, it has to be the best, and I can't think of the best one right now.
She's going to need 2
I don't
snacks and a
know.
drink and 3 episodes of The Wonder Years to answer this question.
I'll get back to you.
We've been talking about some Peter Gabriel tunes, though.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot to pick from.
I wonder if we should keep our mouths
You don't have to
shut
give it
until-
up if
so
you
it's
don't
a
want to.
secret.
You don't have to give it up if you don't
Peter
want to.
Gabriel. Something by Peter Gabriel.
Think about it. Think about it.
So weird too.
He's a weird
What a
dude.
weirdo.
The Genesis stuff freaks me out even more. You look at him with his like shaved head and his like flower costume and stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about? You know Peter Gabriel, right? All of you? Yeah. There's his Prague days. He like was like Kiss pretty much, but it's like singing about like English folk themes in a flower costume. So not like Kiss at all, really. That was a dumb comparison. I'd like to take that back. Can you edit that out, somebody? Great. Any other questions out there? Yeah, I see a hand in the back. I can't see a face.
Hey, I'm just gonna yell. Is that cool?
Do it.
How do you guys write? Like, do you guys get together and like jam for a bit? Someone like lay down a little pot, and then Abby's like, okay, I have some lyrics. Or like, what happens? What is your process?
I had some sketches that were pretty developed. Jesse had a couple sketches that were pretty developed, and then we just sort of came together and like filled in the gaps. And most of the stuff that we have so far were just the two of us. Sort of like he had a beat and I put some lyrics on it, and I had a song structure, or sort of a structure that we just like he did something to, and then we sort of tweaked it and arrived. It's more like arriving at stuff. And then Joey and Linnea responded with what they do. And then so we've played a handful of shows over the past year, and really it takes a while for everything to really start to gel. And so it feels good. But yeah, I think we're getting there.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, a little bit.
You want something else? We can.
I'm trying to think about ways to harass Abby, but it's not working. I'm not coming up with enough questions.
You got to get hard back there.
Man.
Let someone else ask something. I'll come back in a minute.
All right. Anyone else want to ask anything? I see another hand once again. I think.
Hey, Jesse,
Yeah.
you have a big red button labeled "Do not press" on that thing?
No. There's
Why not?
Acme.
Launch.
there's some red lights.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
You should see the other side of it.
if you want.
Yeah, if
Do
anybody
you want to
wants
give tours after the?
Yeah, if anybody wants to come up and check it out, you're welcome to.
But don't
By all
touch it.
means.
Don't touch the big red button that says
You
"Do not
won't
touch"
break
on it.
anything. It's all good.
Any other questions out there? All right, I have one more, and then we'll call it a night. Hey, thanks, you guys, one more time. Appreciate you all being here, and these guys for coming down. It's such a fine job. All right, you can all answer this one. The music business. Let me try that again. That sucked. The music business, love it, or I'd rather run an ice cream truck, but I'll deal.
I am of the opinion at this point in time that I just want to make really good music, and the rest of it will either happen or not. And I'm not thinking about it too hard, because it's really easy to get caught up in like, I got to do this and I got to do this, and you can hustle this and da 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 da, and just
Label, publicist, booking.
yeah.
Just
exactly.
run the Nintendo and keep it cool.
Exactly.
I like your style.
What about you guys? Do you love it or hate it?
Wow. I hate the big music. I mean, I hate the concept of it being out of reach, I guess. The giant corporate music scene. But I love the fact that the music business is accessible in other ways. And that there's so many ways to be able to put your music out there, make it within the reach of pretty much anybody, and that that it's accessible. I love that, and I love ice cream also.
So either way, it's a win.
I'm gonna win.
Joey Van Phillips.
Excuse me. Well, I don't really know about the business. I haven't had any opportunity to really check that out. But my music business, I have to love it because it pays my bills, and that oftentimes means sacrificing. Playing something that isn't the coolest thing you want to play, but you're still playing, and you're still performing, and you're making people happy, you're making yourself happy, and there's so many different outlets for that. Just trying to get your feet wet and discover that, you'll find, as a performing musician, the different jobs you'll take, be it, a wedding gig or a church gig, and hope that one day you can support yourself with cool stuff. So. Dig it.
Good answer. Abby?
I kind of feel similarly that my experience with business and booking agents and management and lots of sales or many sales at all are pretty slim experiences. I feel like I have a lot to learn. But ultimately, I want to make music, and I'm drawn to it like it's fire. And I feel like that's what I should do. And so hopefully everything else aligns behind that allows me to be able to do that with my life. I think I would give it 2 thumbs up.
That's a nice way to wrap it up. Bring the flaming moth back into it.
And
I like the light. I'm too close to the light. Thanks, you guys, for coming down. The McNally Smith Soundbite series.